Imagine strolling along a quiet creek, sunlight dancing on the ripples. When your foot nudges an ordinary gray pebble, you pick it up, dull, heavy, nothing special, until a faint glint of blue flashes in the light. What if that lifeless stone in your hand isn't just a rock at all, but a sapphire worth thousands of dollars? All over the world, from the mountains of Montana to small streams in your own backyard, rivers quietly hide these priceless gems in plain sight. And today, you're about to learn how to spot them. No luck required, just the right knowledge and a keen eye, so the next time you're near moving water, you'll never look at river rocks the same way again. With every step you take along a riverbank, the ground beneath you is carrying a secret history. For millions of years, mountains have crumbled grain by grain, and within that slow-motion collapse, sapphire crystals, born deep in the earth under immense heat and pressure, have been freed and carried downstream. They don't shout for attention. They hide in the quiet bends of creeks and in the dark gravel bars where water slows. Most people walk right past them, kicking aside stones that could pay for a car, a dream vacation, or even a college semester. But once you know what to look for, the subtle glassy luster, the chunky hexagonal shape, the surprising weight, you'll start to see what others miss. Today we'll follow that journey from the heart of the earth to the palm of your hand. So the next time you spot a dull pebble shimmering faintly under the current, you'll know you might be holding a sapphire worth a small fortune. Every sapphire has a complex geological story that spans millions of years. They don't form naturally in riverbeds or gravel. Scientifically, sapphire is a mineral called corundum, which is composed primarily of aluminum oxide, Al2O3. Pure corundum itself is usually colorless or a transparent white. The brilliant, rich colors of sapphire come from trace elements that enter its crystal structure during its formation deep within the earth. For example, the perfect combination of iron and titanium creates the classic blue we see in fine jewelry. The pink, orange, or yellow hues of sapphire also come from elements like chromium, iron, and vanadium. The variety of colors is one of the characteristics that makes sapphire so special. Sapphire is mainly found in two main types of rock, formed under extremely high temperatures and pressures. First are metamorphic rocks like schist and gneiss, which are formed when existing rocks are altered by extreme heat and pressure, creating the perfect environment for corundum crystals to grow. Second are igneous rocks, which are formed by the cooling of magma. In rare cases, igneous rocks like syenite can also contain sapphire. But that's just the beginning of the story. Once born, sapphire crystals sit quietly inside the parent rock for thousands or millions of years, awaiting their magical journey. And then the erosion began, a slow but powerful process. Over centuries, rain, wind, and temperature changes slowly broke down the massive rocks, exposing and releasing the precious minerals inside. Little pieces of rock broke off, and among them were sapphire crystals. Thanks to its extraordinary hardness, reaching 9 on the Mohs scale, sapphire is extremely resistant to impact and abrasion, second only to diamond. This means that when washed away by water, most other gemstones would shatter or disintegrate, while sapphires remain intact, retaining their shape and structure. This is why rivers act as natural ore processors, transporting large amounts of material but allowing only the most durable and heavy minerals to remain and settle. When the water flows rapidly and then suddenly slows down, the heavier materials settle to the bottom of the river. This phenomenon often occurs in inside bends of the river, behind large boulders, fallen tree stumps, or in deep pools after a rapid. These are places that gem hunters call natural traps. These are the spots you should focus your search on, because they act as natural filters. Instead of wasting time sifting through the fast-flowing, straight-line sections of the river, learn to read the river and find the resting spots where the treasures await. Now that you understand where sapphires come from, another important question is, where can they be found? While there are many places in the world famous for sapphires, they do not only exist in far-flung countries like Sri Lanka or Madagascar. Sapphires are also part of the natural landscape of the United States, with some areas becoming hot spots for gem hunters. The most prominent is Montana. This state is considered a true paradise for sapphire hunters. Since the late 19th century, rivers such as the Missouri, Rock Creek, Dry Cottonwood Creek, and especially the Yogo Gulch area have produced thousands of sapphires. Montana sapphires are famous for their unique blue-gray color and often become brilliant after heat treatment, becoming a brand in the gem world. It is worth noting that many of Montana's sapphires are found in placer deposits, meaning they have been transported and concentrated by rivers, making them available to even amateurs with simple tools like sieves or pans. Another great destination is North Carolina. The Franklin region of the state has even been called the sapphire capital of the world by some enthusiasts. The rivers and gravels here offer an incredible variety of colors, not just classic blues, but also greens, yellows, pinks, and even colorless white sapphires. This variety is due to the different trace elements that have been incorporated into the corundum structure during its formation. Sapphire hunting has even become a tourist activity here, with many areas allowing the public to buy a bucket of gravel and pick their own treasures. Sapphires have also been reported in other states like Alabama and Colorado. The trick is always the geology of the area. If the river flows through areas of metamorphic or igneous rock, your chances increase significantly. Therefore, finding a simple geological map online can be a smart first step, helping you narrow down potential areas without having to wander aimlessly. Once you know where to look, the biggest challenge for a gem hunter is being able to recognize a rough sapphire. Forget the image of a sparkling stone like in movies. A sapphire you find in a river will most likely look like a normal stone, dull, water-worn, or covered in mineral deposits. Because of this unassuming appearance, millions of people pass by it without even noticing. But now you have the advantage. There are important signs to recognize them, and you must learn to look at them as a whole rather than relying on a single factor. First is the crystal shape. Sapphires have a characteristic hexagonal crystal habit. You will see stones with 6 sides or a worn end that is hexagonal. Although crystals are rarely perfect due to abrasion, this is a very strong clue that you are holding a corundum. Next is the luster. Even when dull, sapphire has a distinctive vitreous luster. It reflects light cleanly and sharply, unlike the dull luster of slate or the diffuse luster of quartz. Okay. One of the most practical and effective tests is Mohs hardness. With a hardness of 9 on the Mohs scale, sapphire can scratch almost any other common river stone you find. You can try carefully rubbing your suspected stone against a piece of glass or quartz. If it can easily scratch the glass or quartz without chipping itself, that is a very good sign and almost conclusive proof. However, you should not test every stone as this can damage them, but when you have a suspicious stone, this is a good test. And don't forget about density. Sapphire is denser than quartz and other common river stones. When you hold a rough sapphire the same size as a quartz, it will feel noticeably heavier. This is a subtle but extremely useful feeling for experienced people, and with practice you will learn to recognize it. Finally, one of the biggest mistakes beginners make is looking only for blue sapphires. Sapphires can come in a wide range of colors, from blue-gray, green, yellow, pink, to colorless. Many clear white sapphires can be just as valuable as blue sapphires, depending on clarity and cutting technique. So never throw a stone away just because it isn't blue. Aside from the physical characteristics of the sapphire itself, one of the biggest secrets of professional gem hunters is learning to recognize indicator minerals. These minerals are like nature's signposts. They form in the same geological conditions as sapphire, so their presence indicates you're in the right area for potential. One of the most common indicators is garnet. This mineral is often red, purple, or dark brown, and is so dense that it often deposits in the same location as sapphire. When you start seeing small red garnets in your pan, that's a strong sign. Another indicator is mica, which often appears as thin, shiny flakes, gold or silver, in the sand. While mica has no gemstone value, Its presence indicates you're in the metamorphic rock environment where sapphires originate. Spinel is also an important indicator mineral, often confused with sapphire and ruby because it has the same color and crystal shape. And finally, kyanite with its long blue crystals also often indicates an environment favorable for corundum formation. When you combine all these signs, you start to see a bigger picture. You're no longer looking at a single stone, but at a combination of them. This also helps you distinguish sapphire from common imposters like quartz and glass. Glass often has small internal air bubbles or curved fractures, while quartz, while common, is less hard than sapphire, 7 on the Mohs scale, and has long, pointed crystal shapes, unlike sapphire's chunky, hexagonal shape. To do this, you can use the panning technique, which uses a pan or sieve. The principle is to take advantage of the difference in density. You shake and dip the pan in water, causing the lighter minerals like quartz and feldspar to wash away, while the heavier minerals like sapphire and garnet settle to the bottom. This technique, called panning, has been used for centuries and is still extremely effective, allowing you to focus on the most promising stones. Finally, once you have found a rough sapphire, you need to understand its value. A rough sapphire can cost anywhere from a few dozen to a few $100s per carat, depending on size and clarity. However, when cut and polished by a skilled jeweler, its value can increase dozens, even hundreds of times. A good quality cut sapphire weighing over 1 carat can easily fetch $800 to $1,000 per carat on the international market. Exceptional stones, with vivid color and perfect clarity, can exceed $10, $1,000 per carat. So don't rush to sell your stone. Take it to a professional for a thorough appraisal. In short, the sapphire adventure is not just about finding a gem. It is a journey of understanding nature, of the geological history of our planet. You will learn to look at the world around you with new eyes, appreciating the secrets hidden in the most ordinary things. Every day, millions of people pass by rivers without even realizing the gems lying at their feet. They see pebbles, while you, with the knowledge you have just learned, will see the potential of a pearl, a gift of nature. The secret is not where you look, but how you look at what you find. So, the next time you walk by a river, bend down. Don't just look. Look. Remember the signs. The hexagonal shape, the glassy shine, the high density, the presence of indicator minerals. A moment of curiosity, a little test, can be the difference between holding an ordinary rock or a gem worth thousands of dollars. The story of the little pebble becoming a precious gem is waiting to be written by you. Good luck, explorer.